Hey guys, it's Morgan coming back to you with another video in the winter maintenance series on Loretta the Game Changer. If you guys have been following along, you know that we have removed all the extraneous parts, plastics and all that things. We've washed it. We are now cleaning it more as we go. We've rebuilt all the suspension linkage and everything, and not, I shouldn't say rebuilt, we've cleaned and greased and did some major work to one of the bearings that was really rusty. Got that all working really good now. This video is going to be about reinstalling that. I've had a few people ask some questions about how things go. So we're going to be reinstalling that here on this video and replacing the throttle cables and repacking the silencer. So if that sounds like fun, join us because here we go. All right, first things first, we've got to reinstall all the parts. Oh, the other thing we've already done too is rebuild the shock. Shock is all rebuilt, happy, fresh oil, seal, bushings, all the good stuff. So that thing should be working really, really good now. So yeah, we're going to reinstall shock, bearings, things like that. There's one thing in here that I know someone had some questions about the way it went, so I'm going to make sure I show you that. And then we're going to work on the throttle cables because one of those things, any cable on a bike should be replaced every now and then because it's like a very relatively inexpensive part that if it fails, ruins the entire day. So we're going to be replacing those mainly because that boot tore and it's been 165 hours. So these things have some time on them. They need to get replaced. So let's start by rebuilding the back end of this thing and getting the linkage all on. All right, guys, I'm gonna start with the dog bone here. That's this piece. Now, the bolt comes in from this side. You have to remove the brake pedal. I'm just showing you, obviously we're gonna put the dog bone in here in a second. It's got a little flat spot on it, but it doesn't really matter because there's no flat spot on this part of the frame. But the flat spot, you do line it up with the peg that gives you the clearance to come in. And then you're gonna go through and your nut has a flat spot on one side and that goes up against the flat spot on the frame. You can kind of get started like that. And then you're gonna tighten this down. So get this in here. Then stock. Now, before I sink it all the way in, take some of the Z-Max lube, put that in there. Actually, probably ought to pull that, get a little bit more on there. Now, the lube on the bearings is what actually should be, moving, but I like to put, there you go, lube on the bolt too, because that will keep it from rusting in there. Like I said, we're gonna line our flat spot up here. It's kind of forward. 19 wrench. I'm just gonna tighten this down. And you really can't over tighten this because the race that's inside there is steel. So if you tighten it, even if it squeezes the frame member a little bit, it shouldn't pinch down on the bearing. So make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want that coming loose. Also, guys, I like to have the flat spot on this to that side. While it's this far apart, it's really easy just to take the shock and come in up from the bottom. And these shock bolts, guys, I first of all got to clean it off really good, but then also I use blue stuck nuts on these. As with all thread locker situations, you want to make sure super dry. All right, guys, got our freshly rebuilt swing arm slider up in here. Going to lube this pivot with this Z-Max stuff. And this Z-Max stuff is not just like, it goes on really light, but it actually sets up into a grease, a clear grease, which is really sweet. A little bit of stuck nuts on this. Guys, if you want to buy some of this and boycott Loctite because of their family that owns them, long story, but just ask around, trust me. one of them at least is a jerk. There's a code in the description below for 10% off this stuff. And Sean, the guy that runs this company, is amazing. He gives back a ton to the community. So put that on there. We're going to tighten this sucker down. All right, now we got our linkage. Going to go into the swing arm first. A little lube on there. Now we're going to go up into the swing arm. All right, guys, now next is going to be the shock. And I do it next because it makes it easier to get to. So, all right, guys, on this one here, you got to loosen this so that you can get that. So you can get this in. Otherwise, this is in the way. Just wait though. When it's all over, he's going to complain that not enough people came by to thank him for his service. Well, I know. You just saying click, gone. All right, guys, we got this all up now. No movement whatsoever. I love it. That's awesome. Now I'm just going to put the brake caliper back on, and I'm going to go ahead and throw the wheel on because the wheel bearings they're really fresh, so I'm not going to redo those. And I'm not putting a different tire or anything like that on. So we'll get that on here, and then we'll go to the throttle cables. All right, now I forgot I got to put this on, which you can do with everything together. That's the cool thing about this. Just have to push that beaver tail down, but it goes right in. All right, that is looking so much better, having the back end of this motorcycle on there. No wiggling, no nothing. It's nice and tight. I love it. Fresh shock. Oh, it feels so good. So now we are going to do new throttle cables. Pretty simple, guys. I don't know that I really need to show you specifically, but quick rundown. It is a push-pull system on a two-stroke, which is weird. It's because it's got a throttle body with a blade instead of a slide that you just pull up and down. So I've got this zip tied here. That was just to kind of hold things out of the way. So I'll clip that zip tie. Going to take this beautiful piece of equipment apart from Bulletproof Designs, undo the cables there. Then we've got cover here with just one Allen. Take that off, undo those cables, swap them out. Then I will save these cables as spares because there's nothing wrong with them that I know of. So I'm going to do that. And then next thing here will be repacking the silencer that I'll actually show you. This cable thing's no big deal. All right, guys, so actually there is something I want to show you on doing these throttle cables. It turns out that cover is not all that sealed. Look how dirty and nasty that is in there. So super happy I'm doing this right now because that's gross. So I am just going to take some brake clean. It's in my Sure Shot here, and spray that out really good, and then get air and blow it out really good. And then I'll take the cables out, put new ones in, and close it all up. I don't think I'm going to try to do anything special to seal it because I don't know that that's a necessity. I don't think I need to seal it. It's 165 hours and it's like that, so, and it never failed. It didn't get into the throttle, so yeah, we'll just do that and we'll put it back together. All right, guys, we got the throttle cables on. I'm really happy about that. Super happy, actually, to not have that zip tie around there anymore. That looks nice. Probably going to tear that up again, but, you know, it's good for now. Made sure we got this on well. Also, you want to make sure you get these rubber caps down on here to help seal that up. Now, I personally the heater. I personally don't use any lube on cables. I don't know a lot of people that do anymore. You want to keep them dry, because if you put lube in there, generally what it'll do is attract dirt. And I know it doesn't make sense, but, well, it does make sense if you think about it, but the lube tends to attract dirt, and all these new cables, modern cables, have a nice like plastic like inner liner inside that the cable runs through, and then there's the housing. Anyway, they stay really good. They're way better dry than lubed up. Now, old bikes like that old Pinton that we're going to be working on, stuff like that, those cables sometimes, if you have to use the cable that's on there, you can't get new ones. You can lube them up to free them up if they're seized, and that helps a lot, and it will work fine. But after I get that lubed up and moving, old cables I'll usually actually leave lube because they don't have that inner liner. But if it's a new cable and I get it freed up using lube, I'll blow it out with brake clean and air to kind of dry it out. So anyway, super stoked about that. Other thing, guys, I forgot to tell you that I was going to do this. Because I'm turning this bike into the Go Fast bike, although I don't go fast. I got to work on that this year. I removed the fan. I took the fan off, the controller off, everything. The Tusk fan was great. It worked well. It draws less than all the Trail Tech fans and all that stuff. And it worked with the light and all that good stuff. But I don't really like fans on Go Fast bikes, if I'm honest. I like to try to keep things as simple as possible. And if this is a, again, quote unquote, Go Fast bike, I won't need a fan, right? I'm not going to take this thing into the hard enduro world. I'm just going to ride it in the hair scrambly, deserty, GP, GNCC style racing, and there's no need for a fan in that. So that's one less thing on this bike, a little bit less weight. Not that that really matters. I could lose some weight. But it's nice to get that off, get it more simple. Now I do have a really cool fan coming for the beta, because the beta is going to be the hard enduro bike that will be overheating and getting hot, so I need it on that. But I got a super cool fan that would actually work really well. If this was your only bike and you didn't want to rewind the stator and all that stuff, so stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. Got to subscribe to the channel, hit the little notification bell so that you get notifications saying when we're making videos, because that thing is going to be, I hope, really cool. And you'll know for me, because I'm going to be an honest guy and review it. So anyway, really happy about that. Got that cleaned up. Now let's go repack the silencer. All right, you guys know, if you've been watching this channel long, I'm running the Spanish Fly spark arrestor. I really like it very, very much. And the stock pipe, which I also like because it's little and short. I like that a lot. So yeah, repacking silencer is one of those things, guys, on your two-stroke. You probably ought to do it more than you think you should do it. It really does change the performance of the bike. Not only just the sound, although that's very important to have the bike sound good, not only for aesthetic purposes of riding it, but also to keep the bikes a little quieter, because we don't want to upset all the tree huggers out there any more than we already do. Unnecessarily, right? Like, they suck for hating us, but we suck if we just hate them too. So we should try to get along as much as we can, and keep our bikes sounding good. A raspy, nasty sounding two-stroke that's all, packing's all blown out, whatever, it doesn't sound good to anyone, and it just upsets people. So super important winter maintenance thing. Honestly, you probably ought to do it more often than that, especially these TBI bikes. They tend to spooge quite a bit before you get the TSP set up on them. So yeah, just repack it frequently. Now the setup with the Spanish Fly, we got Torx bolts right around here. We're going to take all those out. The other thing about repacking these things is they get lighter, because that unburnt fuel and oil that builds up in the packing adds actually amazingly quite a bit of weight, and it's a weight up high, so it's never a bad thing to get rid of weight up high. Guys, what I'm doing right here is cleaning out the hole for the Torx bit to go in. That is, like, on Allens and Torx, that is one of the keys to not stripping these things out, is making sure that your tool goes all the way in. I'll let you guys handle that one. Anyway, everything is better when your tool goes all the way in the hole. I swear, dirt bikers are like permanently 12 years old. Anyway, make sure you do that because it'll save you a lot of time and hassle down the road with strip bolts. Guys, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the ultrasonic, and I'm going to, once I get the packing and everything out of this, I'm going to put this whole thing in the ultrasonic and get it super, super clean. All right. So once you get that all out, once you get all the bolts out, now I don't do this all the time when I'm repacking, but I'm going to take these rubber grommets out, mainly for the super duper deep cleaning. The solution I use in the ultrasonic with the Fabuloso won't hurt the rubber, but it's just, I like to get everything out of the thing. So now what we can do is we're going to chalk this up here, and we're going to pull this out. And the reason I'm chalking it up is this can be really hard to remove. Whew. There we go. Got her. The other thing about the Spanish Fly, I will say, the one, I guess, downside to the Spanish Fly is that the turbine core that we install in here is quite a bit longer. Well, definitely then, I mean, there's no turbine core in the stock one. It's just a run through. So you actually get a lot more packing in the stock little shorty muffler. If you were to put an Enduro Engineering screen style on there, you don't lose any packing. The problem is you get that screen that then clogs up and all that stuff. So I still like this better, but you only get this much packing. So it does tend to get dirty way faster. So open this up, I'll show you what we're talking about. You see how packed, solid that, and kind of that shininess? That means it's not absorbing anything anymore. So it's loud, it's annoying sounding, and all the spooge is coming right out at the end. No big deal. The other upside is less packing. You get to use the package of packing material quite a few more times. This rubber off. And actually, you know, that looks good. See how it's got holes you can see through there? That makes me super happy. That means these aren't clogged up, just the packing. That's actually really, really good. So now I'm gonna let that ultrasonic warm up, and we'll drop this all in there, run it for about 45 minutes, and we'll come back and be right back here in just a second. All right, guys, got the stuff out of the ultrasonic, got all the water blown out of it. That's important, and the water blown out, and then I actually took it over to the parts washer, got all the super grime off of it, looking pretty good. Everything's looking pretty nice. Don't really need to do anything else to this because these holes are super clear. A little bit of a, you know, staining on it, but it's super clean, so no reason to burn that off. Like if this gets super, super nasty, I'll burn it off with a torch. Kind of like you kind of do one of these and get all the carbon off, but since it's nice and clean, no real reason to do that. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our new packing, and this is packing I've used on this bike multiple times, so it's all good. And I am going to, let's see, yeah. So I'm gonna cut it this way, and what I like to do is you kind of like, you want to tuck it down in there to get all the way in and measure the length. So it's going to be about like there. We're going to take a razor blade, we're going to cut all the way down. There are times in life and in motorcycle world that you have to be precise. This is not one of them. It's just packing. You can kind of shove it around. So I'm going to go about there. Way. There we go. Now, Here's a new thing I'm going to try that I've never done before, but I think it could be cool. Well, I don't know about cool, but it could be useful. So this is the side that I'm going to wrap towards this. Now, as you saw on that other one, it packs in real tight. So, you know, the exhaust comes in and it fills it up and packs it tight. And I think I might be able to get a little bit more time out of it by taking this pick and kind of roughing up that first layer. Let's see how that's getting nice and fluffy. I think that could help. I don't know. We're going to try it. But it seems like it makes sense to me that if that first layer is a little bit fluffier, of course it's going to get mashed down when I roll it around here, but at least the first part, it might end up being a little bit better. So now just wrap this thing around here. Make sure you got that showing. Now, what we're going to do is we need to get this tube lined up with that hole. And it's not always the easiest, but just take your time. And actually, before we go, I'm going to get some clear silicone and run it around here so that when we get this in there, it seals up nice and tight. And I use the clear just because it's going to make a bit of a mess and then it won't show. You could use red or black or whatever, but I guess black would work on this pipe. But there we go. Now we're going to just line it up. Boom. There we go. Make sure your holes are all lined up. Reinstall these. And I'm actually going to reinstall these before I wipe that silicone off. Just to make sure it's all where it needs to be. And then I'll go back with a rag and get all that excess silicone off of there. And if your holes aren't lining up, you take something, put it in there and kind of tweak it. But it is still going to be a battle. Usually it's just a little bit of a pain to try to get those lined up, but just take your time. And as with all things with multiple bolts and multiple holes, don't tighten any of them down all the way until you got them all started going into their home. All right, now take this rag, which is kind of dirty, and get the big excess off. Go get a new rag and really get it nice and clean. Get all that excess silicone off of here. Make this thing look shiny. Well, as shiny as a silencer that's been thrown down on the ground and beat up on a bunch can. But boom, there we go. Looks good. Shiny enough for me too. So I'm going to go ahead and put the rubber grommets and all that stuff back in. But guys, I'm going to end this maintenance video here. I am still waiting on Motos to send me a pipe. I did blow that one out there. So we can install it if we need to. But I think I just got a hold of the guys at Motos and it sounds like they're hopefully just now shipping it. So it's going to be a little bit before it shows up. But I'm still waiting on plastics and graphics and a few other things too. So we are narrowing in on having this thing all ready to go. The next video is going to be greasing the steering head bearings and taking care of the front end, all that stuff, and refreshing all that stuff. So make sure you subscribe if you are interested in seeing that, and subscribe if you like the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like the channel. Maybe comment below if there's something that I haven't done that you want to see me do, or something that you think I've missed. That'd be great. I'd love to hear about it, and we'll make sure we get it on the next video. Yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope we're Get out, spread the gospel of two wheels, and as always, I hope what we're doing is inspiring you guys to work on, but more importantly, get out and ride your dirt bikes!